Welcome back, everyone. Today I have for you guys my top 10 most horrifying films I've ever seen in my life. These are the films that have caused me the most dread, the most anxiety, the ones that have kept me up at night and made me watch through fingers. If these films don't work for you, that's okay. Not everything that works for me will work for you. So let me know down below in the comments which films have horrified you the most and give me a couple of reasons for that. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends to help boost this channel and the algorithm. And with that out of the way, let's get into the list. Kicking us off at number 10, we have 2008's Martyrs, and this one is a French-Canadian film, so I thought I'd slip it in there because I'm French-Canadian. No, I'm just kidding. This film actually terrified me. This was the first ever film that I watched where I actually watched it behind my hand. I couldn't watch certain scenes of this film. I had to like slowly peek at it. I was like, ugh. If you've seen this film and you've seen the scene at the end, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's one of the most gruesome, graphic scenes ever filmed. It's freaking horrifying. But this film isn't just horrifying because it's gruesome and it's graphic. It's horrifying for a lot of other reasons too. It's actually a deep philosophical film. It plays with a lot of interesting ideas, and at the end, you get an ending that's kind of unresolved. You kind of have to make up your own ending. So there's a lot of interesting things with this movie. It's very, very violent, hyper violent, very well acted. And like I said, at the end there, some interesting questions come up about metaphysics and philosophy. So I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. Maybe eventually I'll do a full film analysis for this video and let you guys know my thoughts on what the ending truly means. But if you've never seen 2008's Martyrs and you're looking for a truly horrifying film to watch, I would start there. So I have that at number 10. Let's move on to number 9. Next up at number 9, I have a film that is quite different from Martyrs. It's way more psychological, and it plays with morality in a much graver way. It's 2017's The Killing of a Sacred Deer, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. I hope I'm saying that right because he's one of my favorite modern directors. I probably could have chose Dogtooth. I might have even been able to chosen Poor Things or maybe one of his other films to put here. But for me, his most terrifying film is The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Maybe it's the performances in it. I forget the kid. I think it's Barry Keoghan, but I might be wrong. But the kid in it is fantastic. Colin Farrell is phenomenal in it as well. And I think it's Nicole Kidman, who's the other actress. If I'm getting the names wrong right now, I'll put the correct ones up on screen. But anyways, this film is not just superbly acted. It's phenomenally directed. This is such an understated film. Everything is between the lines. Everything's very subtle. But when you watch this film, you get this sense of uneasiness. And there's never been a character in film that I've wanted to strangle with my own hands more than the kid that's in this film. Now, it's not a young kid, so it's a teenager. But this teenager is... You have to watch the film to understand what I mean. But you want to pummel this kid. The whole entire film, you're so angry. And very few films have riled up my emotions this much. And then by the end of it, you're just so devastated by what has happened that it's just truly one of the most horrifying experiences I've ever had. So The Killing of a Sacred Deer is a very uncomfortable experience, but I highly recommend you go and have it because it's very unique. It's a very, very unique film. So I have The Killing of a Sacred Deer at number 9. Let's move on to number 8. Next up at number 8, we have a film that is a fairy tale told within a cult propaganda film. It's also a stop motion film, a paper mache stop motion film that takes place in one room, and it took multiple years to finish this film. I forget how many. It was like 5 years it took to make this film. It's 2018's La Casa Lobo, or the English translation, The Wolf House. Now, this might not seem like the most horrifying film on its surface if I say it's a fairy tale film and it's animated, but there's a cultish element to it, and it's very weird and deep, and there's deep themes throughout it. I haven't unpacked them all myself just yet, but it plays off of Germans in Argentina and a bunch of weird stuff. I don't want to get too into it right now, but on its surface, it is still a horrifying film without diving deeper into the themes. Just go watch the trailer for it. It doesn't spoil anything, but if you watch the trailer alone is horrifying. Things animate and turn into different things, and pigs become humans, and then teacups, and it's so bizarre. It is so out there. It's one of the most abstract and surreal films I've ever seen in my life, and it has this air of uneasiness and dread all throughout the film, and it holds that tension. And it's, man, I can't even put it into words. You have to go watch this film for yourself. It's the most unique film that I'll talk about today by far. The way things morph into other things is just, it's bizarre and trippy and mind warping, and I don't know how else to describe it. Just please go watch The Wolf House. If you can find it on streaming somewhere, it's one of those films that you just have to see once in your life, even if you don't like horror films, because it's not the most horrifying film. There's no scenes in it like in Martyrs where you're like, oh my God, I can't watch. Or there's nothing in it where like you're so challenged morally, like in The Killing of a Sacred Deer, where you're like, man, I hate this film, I don't want to watch it. The Wolf House is pretty watchable, I think, and it's man, it's such a bizarre film. I don't know what else to say about it, but it's one of the most horrifying film experiences I've ever had, so I have it at number 8. Next up at number 7, we have the most overly acted film of all time. Now, you might think that makes it a bad film, but it actually lends credence to it. It's in some way, it actually helps the film. This is, of course, 1981's Possession, and that's scene in the subway underground where the main actress is just going bananas, having an absolute fit. It's one of the most overacted scenes I've ever seen in my life, but it works. It actually works. It shows true mania. And if there's one thing that I could say about this film is that it shows that better than any other film I've seen, like true manic personalities. Unhinged, out there, emotional extremes like you've never seen before. And there's a lot of body horror in this film too, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. You don't expect it. You think it's a complete psychological horror film. You think everything's in the mind, and then there's body horror out of nowhere, and it completely flips the film on its head. And then the ending. Again, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but if you have seen it, you know the ending of Possession is the most powerful part of the movie, and it doesn't make a ton of sense. You have to watch it a couple times. You might have to watch an explanation video on it or something like that, because it's a bizarre ending, and it leaves you with more questions than answers, and I love this film so much. Isabel Adjani, I hope I'm saying that right. She is so great in this film, one of the best horror film acting performances ever. Sam Neill is also fantastic in this one as well. I feel like he's one of the most underrated horror actors ever. I mean, The Mouth of Madness is fantastic as well. He's so good in that film too. And yeah, Possession is just one of my favorite horror films of all time. It shows emotional intensity unlike any other film that I'll mention today. So go and check out 1981's Possession if you want a fun ride. Next up at number 6, we have a film that's a little bit more controversial because the majority of this film is just a basic drama thriller. It's just a basic adventure story. Things go pretty normally for most of the film. But then you get to the end of the film and the true horror starts. And it's horror that's so realistic, so raw, that it feels almost like a snuff film. It almost feels like this isn't a film at all, because there's no score when the brutality's playing out. There's no insane sound effects. There's none of that. It's very dry, and that gets the horror across even more profoundly. And if there's one film that I've ever seen in my life that I think replicates the feelings, the emotions, the story themes of Blood Meridian, one of my favorite horror novels of all time, the best, it's 2015's Bone Tomahawk. I think it's the film that's come the close to mimicking Blood Meridian's, like I said, themes and feel and characters. And if you've seen Bone Tomahawk, well, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about the scene at the end. I didn't even think that was able to be done to a person. I never even imagined in my mind that you could do that to another human being until I saw it. And that horrified me. I can't get that image out of my head ever again. That's just going to be in there forever. This film was also filmed on a small budget, in the space of 21 days. This film was done in 21 days. It's a very low budget, connected, small, tight film. And everything happens for a reason. You know, the story, that the more you watch this film, the more you realize it's actually a great film. It's very underrated. The story's great. There's a lot of things that get set up in the beginning and then they pay off at the end. It's not just a fake you out for an hour and a half and then give you the most horrifying experience of your life right in the last 30 minutes. This film actually has some consistency to it, and some great acting performances too. I think Kurt Russell's awesome in this. I think it's Patrick Wilson who's also in this. He's fantastic. And yeah, that scene at the end is barbarity like I've never seen before. It's so primal, so raw, so uncut and dry, and you just have to see the film to know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. Go watch the film, make it to the end if you can, and come back and tell me what you thought about that. If you've seen the film already, don't spoil it for anybody in the comments. But yeah, that's quite the scene. So Bone Tomahawk at number 6, even though it's not the most horror film out there, but it has one of the most horrifying scenes in film history. So I got that at number 6. Let's move on to number 5. This next film is even more raw. It's even more dry. In fact, it doesn't even feel like a snuff film at some points. Well, it does, but it feels almost like a documentary the whole time that you're watching it. It feels too real. It feels way too real to be a movie, and there's nothing super unique or creative about it. It doesn't take an interesting way to tell the story. There's no cinematography effects that make you go, wow. It's very stripped down. The acting performances are outstanding in this film. Truly some of the best acting performances I'll mention today. But this film from 2011 called Snowtown is one of the most depressing films I've ever seen in my life. There's no light in this film, zero light. So if you want a film that is absolutely bleak, that doesn't give you any room to breathe at all, that doesn't really show you anything extraordinary, anything super creative, but hits you in the gut harder than any other film, it's this one. This one punched me so damn hard and made me, you know what? I think it made me even more angry than the killing of a sacred deer. There are characters in this film that I've never felt so much anger for a fictional character before in my life. And if you've seen this film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It depicts real events. These events actually happen. Now they're, fictionalized a little bit slightly to make the story more interesting. But for the most part, everything that's shown in this film actually happened. And the thing about this film is it doesn't just show a sadistic, charismatic, POS character that you want to hate but also kind of like because you're following them. This film shows a character that is so evil and sadistic that manipulates an innocent character into becoming like them. And that's the frustrating part of this film. It's not so much what the main antagonist does. It's not so much what he does. It's what he convinces the other people in the film to do. It's how he pulls them along and brings them into his circle and makes them more like him. That's the truly terrifying part of this film. And man, the raw lighting, the stripped down performances, the lack of any score or music throughout the film, everything is just so raw about this film that if there's one film on my list that I don't think I'll ever watch again, it's probably Snowtown, because it's so unsettling. It makes me feel so uneasy and with not much reward out of it. I know I'm not really selling the film for you guys right now, but truly, if you want the most bleak experience you can possibly have, I think it's to be found in 2011 Snowtown. It doesn't have the greatest ratings because, like I said, people watch it, they feel disgusted, and they don't know what to get out of it, and they'll never come back to it. But for that reason, it has to make this list because it's one of the darkest films ever made. So if maybe I've convinced you to go watch it. I don't think you should watch it. It's not a pleasant experience, but if I did convince you to watch it, come back to this video and let me know what you thought about it, because I haven't met too many people who have sat through this film. It's horrible to watch, especially the torture scenes. They're very difficult to sit through, but I had to put it on my list. I have Snowtown at number 5. At number 4, I have a film that came out the year I was born, directed by one of my favorite directors of all time, the director who I think directs emotions the best out of any living or past director, to be quite honest. It's Darren Aronofsky, who released in 2000 the film Requiem for a Dream. Now, out of all the films that I'll mention today, this film for sure has the best acting performances, whether it's Jared Leto, Jennifer Connelly, Marlon Wayans, or the lady who I'm blanking on her name right now. I'm going to put it up on screen because she truly had the best acting performance out of the entire film. She just hasn't been in that many films outside of this that I've seen, so I'm not the most familiar with her name, but she's phenomenal in this film. Everybody gives maybe their best acting performance of their life in this film. And the direction is really what makes this film so powerful, so unique. So the film itself is pretty basic. It's about 4 characters experiencing horrible drug addictions and watching their lives spiral out until they hit rock bottom. That's basically what the film is about. Now, on top of that, Darren Aronofsky uses split screens, super fast editing, and a soundtrack that is one of the most famous in film history. The score for Requiem for a Dream carries you throughout the film. It makes you feel dizzy. It induces anxiety all throughout the film. And by the end of it, when it crescendos, you really feel the emotion because of that score that's been building up the entire time. Everything about this film is perfect. Like I said, from the cinematography to the editing, to the acting, to the directing, to the lighting choice, to the costume design. Everything about this film is perfect. It's truly one of the greatest films ever made. I think everybody should watch it. It is a depressing experience, especially when you get towards the end of it. I won't spoil it for anybody, but you don't really get a happy ending with this one. That's why it's on my list. And yeah, it's an existential horror film. It might not be as raw and ground level and gritty and bleak as something like Snowtown, but there's an existential level of horror to this film that makes you, it sticks with you. You think about it for a while. Snowtown, you watch it, you feel disgusted. You never really watch it or think about it again. You just kind of put it to the side. But Requiem for a Dream sticks with you. It stays in your mind for the rest of your life, and you'll probably find yourself thinking about it here and there throughout your life going, yeah, man, that film showed me some things that are absolutely true and deep and dark and depressing, and man, what a film. Requiem for a Dream from 2000 is at number 4 on my list. Let's move on to the top 3. So my next film is by a director who his entire filmography probably could have filled this entire list. I limited it to only one film by him. I did that for about every director on this list. Because Gaspar Noé, man, if there's one director who's consistently had people throw up and walk out of his films, it's Gaspar Noé. And I think the film that is the most intense by him is his 2002 film, Irreversible. Now, Enter the Void might be more existentially horrifying. Climax might be more horrifying on its surface for the graphic qualities in it. But Irreversible has the most nauseating scene, I think, in the history of film. If you know what I'm talking about, again, if you've seen this film, it comes right at the middle of the film. It's right at the middle point. And that's because this film is told in reverse. You see the outcome of the film at the beginning. And then as you watch the film, you see the things that led up to that outcome. And let's just say the horrors that are revealed to you are pretty intense, especially the one that's right at the middle, the crux of the film. It's a long, unbroken cut. I think it's like a 4 or 5 minute scene. There's no cuts at all. And the camera just focuses in directly on a grape. I use the word grape because you guys know what I mean. It's a horrifying scene. And if you're not into that, if that really upsets you, do not watch this film. It's not for you. Just skip this entry, go on to the next film. But if you can sit through that, that's an incredibly nauseating scene. It makes you feel sick to your stomach. You want to intervene, but you know you're watching a movie, and it's horrifying. And the rest of the film is horrifying too, because everything is out of sequence. It's all playing in reverse. So you don't know what's happening. You don't know why all the violence is happening. You only learn it towards the end. And it made audiences physically unsettled. Like, people threw up during this film. People left it en masse. People had a hard time watching this. It's raw. It's very emotional. It weaponizes your emotions against you. It's so intense. And Gaspar Noé is kind of the best in the world at that. I think Aronofsky is the best at building crescendos. He finds a great way to build up emotion and then boom, hit you in the face with it and then end the film. But Gaspar Noé is it's like you're freaking gripping an intense roller coaster the entire time. There's no point where there's no tension. It's tension from the second the first scene starts to the last scene. And very few directors can actually do that, can actually sustain that through their entire film. So it speaks to the genius of Gaspar Noé, but it also creates an experience that most people can't have. Most people can't sit through a film that is intense for 2 hours all the way through. Most people need a break. They need to calm down, breathe a little, see where the story's going, and then you can hit them with something intense, kind of like how Aronofsky does it. But Gaspar Noé, man, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He wants to make you feel uncomfortable. And Irreversible is maybe the most uncomfortable I've ever felt in a film, especially during that 5-minute scene right in the middle. That's a hard scene to sit through. So if you can sit through it, if that doesn't devastate you too much, go and check this film out. But if you can't sit through a scene where people are getting, forced on against their will, maybe skip this one. I don't think it's for you. So let's move on now to the top two. So my top two, I have my two most horrifying films I've ever seen in my life. One is kind of on its surface horrifying. It's consciously horrifying. Whereas the second one, the one that I'll mention at number one, is unconsciously horrifying, and it's surreal and it's abstract, and it might not be the most horrifying thing to you. So if that film doesn't do it for you, I apologize, but it's the most horrifying thing I've ever sat through. But we need to talk about number two first, which is the most consciously affecting horror movie I've ever seen. And what I mean by that is on its surface, what it confronts you with is so damn horrifying. No other film experience tops it for me. It's 1985's Come and See. It's the best anti-war film ever made, maybe second to The Human Condition. It's hard to argue what's the best anti-war film, but certainly the most horrific anti-war film is Come and See. I think every single general, every single world leader, anybody with any power over other human beings en masse should probably watch this film. They should probably be forced to watch it, because if there's any film that I've ever watched where at the end of it I go, it's not even that I go like, oh, we should never do war again. I go, why does this exist? Why does war and violence exist? Like, why? It really tears you apart, this film. And it's because it's told through the eyes of a young boy. You're a young Belarusian boy in the Red Army resistance in World War II, and the Nazis are coming in and they're taking over everything, and they're killing everybody around you. And they're doing worse things than just killing the people around you. They're doing far worse things than that. And you're seeing all this horror play out on screen. And it's shot like a horror movie. It's literally shot like a horror movie. You're running with the characters. You feel their anxiety. You feel their dread. And it's more effective than 99.9% of horror films, because on top of that, Ilem Klimov, not only did he have personal experience being born in Stalingrad 10 years before the Battle of Stalingrad, so he saw all of this stuff. Not just that, but he has an expert level of cinematography skills that you rarely see from any other director. There are very few directors that capture images as beautifully as Klimov does. And when you watch this film, you'll see what I mean. Every single scene, every single shot has purpose to it. Every frame of the film can be stopped and put on a wall as a painting. It's truly a beautiful film from start to finish, even though it's horrifying from start to finish as well. This film was filmed in real locations that were actually invaded by the Germans. They used live ammunition throughout the film to make it feel more real and visceral. And Klimov pushed his actors to the point of almost psychologically breaking. And it was a lot for the two young actors in the film, the young boy and the young girl. They go through a lot in this film. And when you look at that young boy, from the start of the film to the end of the film, he's gone through so much. And I think about this young kid who filmed this film, who acted in it. And I truly think he gave the greatest acting performance by anybody under the age of 18 in all of film history. I don't think there's ever been a performance where more was demanded out of a young actor. You look at this performance, and then you look at Home Alone, and you go, wow, Macaulay Culkin sucks at acting. He doesn't. He's fantastic. Home Alone is a great film. But compared to this, there are just levels, man. There are levels, and Come and See showcases some of the most brilliant childhood acting I've ever seen in my life. These kids really get across the emotion and the horror that their characters feel throughout the film. This film showcases the complete annihilation and loss of innocence and humanity. And when you get to the end, you get a very, very interesting ending. This is an ending that I will break down on my channel eventually, maybe when I do a full film analysis for this video, for this film, or I'll just do a separate video just talking about the ending, because the ending is super, super powerful. One of the most powerful endings I've seen, not just in film, but through reading books, through engaging with television shows, all art that I've engaged with. One of the most powerful endings I've ever seen is the one in Come and See, and it's because of the message that it tries to get across. It's very, very, very profound. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, though, so I'll leave it at that, and we'll move on to my number one pick. So speaking of films that permanently alter the viewer after experiencing them, my number one pick is a surreal labyrinth of overlapping realities. Like I said, it's the most surreal thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't even know if it's a film. I think it's an anti-film. It's a film within a film, but then it's also an anti-film. It's trying not to be a film at the same time that it is. I know that none of that made any sense, but this film doesn't make any sense, so I don't know how much I can help you. But the most terrifying experience I've ever had in my life watching a movie was when I sat down for 3 hours and I watched 2006, directed by David Lynch, Inland Empire, sorry. This film absolutely shatters reality. It blows it up. Characters become other characters, faces blur, lines between reality are just completely erased. And the whole film, you just feel this sense of anxiety and dread like nothing I've ever felt before. It's so overwhelming. My brain is constantly questioning, where am I? Am I in a dream? Am I awake? Am I watching a David Lynch film right now? I don't even know. I might be asleep. My brain truly starts to dissolve when I watch this film. It's more anxiety inducing than any other film I've seen in my life. And it's because there's nothing conscious about it. Everything's blurred. Everything is obscured and abstracted. And despite that, it's horrifying. And I don't know why. David Lynch baked in so many horrifying scenes into this film, whether it's the initial scene with that old Polish or Ukrainian woman. I don't even know what language she was speaking. I forget. But this lady comes on screen and she starts having this weird conversation, super bizarre. And you don't know what she's saying. And you might think, well, that's easy to do. It's easy to make a 3-hour film that doesn't mean anything and that doesn't make any sense and it's not connected to anything. And it's not. This is one of the most insane masterpieces I've ever seen. I truly think it's David Lynch's magnum opus, because to be able to pull this off, to make this film work, like if you really, really sit down and think about it, to make this film work like it does is a miracle. I don't know how he was able to make this work. I don't even know how the actors or the people on set went along for this for as long as it did. Like, they created a 3-hour film that I'm pretty sure none of the actors, none of the people who worked in lighting or production or costume design, nobody knew what this film was about when they were making it. They probably still don't know to this day. I think the only person who ever knew what this film was about was David Lynch himself, and sadly, he's gone. Rest in peace, David Lynch. He's one of, if not my favorite director of all time, but this film is just an absolute nightmare. It's unstable. It's uncanny. I don't know how else to describe it. You just have to go and experience it for yourself. And I know a lot of people are going to try to watch this film. They're going to get 10, 15, 20 minutes. Maybe you get an hour into it. Maybe you get 2 hours into it and you go, I don't know what I'm doing here sitting watching this. Nothing's making sense to me. It's not scaring me. I'm not horrified. I'm just going to turn this off. And that's totally okay. Like I said, if this film doesn't do it for you, if this doesn't horrify you, that is completely fine. But for me, my personal experience, this was the most horrified I've ever felt in a film. I literally felt like I was developing schizophrenia as I was watching it. It's a horrifying film. So for me, that's my number one. But if you guys have a different taste or different rankings and you guys want to let me know down below in the comments what your most horrifying film experience was, leave me your favorite. Leave me your top 5, your top 10, your top 15. Let me know a couple of reasons why it horrified you or why those films horrified you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends to help boost this channel and the algorithm, of course. Thank you all for watching. As always, it means the absolute world to me, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.